Welcome back to the Thought Leadership Series here at Online Marketing TV. We're joined by Hallie, Sandeep, and Ali. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the favorite subject, social media. I'm sure you guys have been talking a lot about that today. I'd like to start big picture, kind of how you look at social today when you look at what we should be doing and how to prioritize things. What's your perspective, your theory and philosophy on social and how everybody in marketing should be looking at it?
So when I look at social today, I really think it should be part and parcel of communication and marketing. And what I see happening now more and more is many people are trying to take social media, which is sort of setting off as an offshoot within their company, and trying to integrate it into the core fabric of their other transactional channels.
Yeah.
And that's where the value is going to come from social media.
Yeah, I like it. It's giving the lift of the extra touch point for you to help on the actual transaction, not the transaction itself.
Right, and that's you because you're building your relationship not just through social media, but through all your channels, leveraging social media.
Gotcha. Ali.
I'm very much on the same point that it's just one more way to brand yourself and to communicate with your audiences. Can't really be the main only way, but one additional way that really can be a conversation versus your other marketing channels where it's less of a two-way conversation.
Gotcha. Cool. Okay, so take me down to some best practices. So if you were to say some of the things you're seeing, either your clients or your partners or you're reading about out there, what are some of the top 2 or 3 things that you see that are happening that you're like, man, that's really cool, and if we can figure out this, we're going to be on the right track?
I would just say to start top down.
Yep.
So making sure that it aligns with your business and then also with your marketing strategies. So that would be like the first critical thing, I think, just to even start with a strategy.
Right. And actually, she brings up a good point, because when you move from strategy, then you come up with specific tactics. So I'll say something really tactical that we should think about. At the end of the day, social media is about multimedia content. So as we put all of this content together, the content needs a headline. That headline needs to be catchy. And people need to think about how that headline is used, which means they need to test out various ones. And they will be able to test them out on all channels again. Some things might work on Facebook, some might work in print, but essentially everything should come back to that original article.
Got it.
We
Yeah.
were talking earlier today just about the idea of content, and really that sites and businesses should think of themselves as content producers, because that's really what at the end of the day it is. Al had talked about social being, content being the new currency, content and data being the new currency, and I couldn't agree more with the idea of content.
So
Well, everyone has something to talk about. If your business, if you didn't have anything to talk about, then your business wouldn't have any meaning or any reason to exist.
That's
So
true.
you have something there that someone is interested in if your business is able to be in business.
Although the ball bearing
Yep.
guys may have a little bit more hard time than some of us in the online marketing industry. But on content, so let's dive into that, because everybody now says content is king, and we've been saying it for a long time, but even more so now with social. What are the pillars of having good content? What is the definition of good content? I was sitting here with Brian Halligan from HubSpot, and I asked him that, and he said, I don't know. And I thought that was an amazing response for somebody that pumps out a ton of content, right?
Right.
So what are some of the key attributes to good content for social?
I don't think that it can be something that this is what you have to say to every single person. It can't really be that packaged, or else you are going to come across like you have this package and this is what you say all the time. It's totally dependent on what your audience wants to read and what they care about. And as long as you can pinpoint that and really understand what they care about, and as it relates back to your business, and as it relates back to whatever you're trying to do, then you can create content that people are interested in. But it can't really be a cookie cutter way of producing it.
So hold on, before I hit publish on my blog post, how do I know this is going to be good? Do I know it, or do I just have to hope for the best and hit publish and it goes? Is there something I should be looking for? Are there key attributes? Are there obviously things like headlines? I mean, what should I be looking at to make sure that when I hit publish that I got the best chance of it being good?
Yeah, that's a very good point. So at the end of the day, whatever your business is, it serves a certain segment of customers. So you can put your customers into certain categories. They're different segments. So now you've got 2 options. One option is you can go and hire, say you serve 12 different types of segments. You can hire 12 different types of people to write 12 types of content. But that's not the social media way. The right way to do this is really to become a facilitator, to get the conversation started. And probably the best way to do it is to think about creating what I'd like to call a first responders club, which means these are the friends of Aaron who will answer and tell Aaron that this content that you want to test out, is it thumbs up, is it okay, or is it thumbs down?
So you have a little bit of a filter. You send it out to 20 people and you get it to rate it, and then you decide whether to push it out to the masses, huh?
Exactly. And if you think about it, every company today communicates over and over with their population. And when they do that, if you, in every email or in every direct mail message that you send out, you tell people that, hey, why don't you tell me how I'm doing and become a member of my First Responders Club?
Yeah.
Every campaign, I get 10, 12, 20 people that sign up. At the end of the year, I have a few thousand people that are part of this First Responders Club. So it's no longer 20 people. It could be quite a few people, and that's what also is going to make things viral.
And they're also going to be on your list to save you from any crappy content you're going to send out there and be the first to tell you, which is good.
Exactly. And content is not only king, content is rich. Huffington Post got bought by AOL, not for the website, for the content.
Well, I would go a little bit beyond that.
Beyond that, too.
Yes.
Right.
The valuations were a lot more strategic than that. But yeah, I agree. The content was one of the foundational reasons they got bought, for sure. So
I want to give
ahead.
a tactical tip, though,
Please.
and it relates to Huffington Post. So a more tactical tip, even down to understanding what content you should write, is also to use and leverage other channels like search. So you can look to see quickly, like tools, free tools like Google. You know, you can check in Google Keyword Suggestion tool. What are people looking at, right? And then that can feed your content creation. So as it relates to Huffington Post, Sunday, I forgot what time Super Bowl actually started. You know, what time is the kickoff? And so I Googled what time is Super Bowl 2011 kickoff start time. Literally
You're
that.
a big football fan, obviously. Yeah.
I don't even know. And guess who was like number 2, I think it was. And the top 3 was Huffington Post.
Really?
And I thought, what are they doing in the top 3? That's so silly.
Right.
Well, they had leveraged a search and had seen what people were most searching around. They wrote a silly little, one pager about, when it starts and some key advertisers, and that was it. But that was great because it brought in ad revenue. It brought in searches, put searches back into their site. So little tips like that, to integrate, your channels like that to create content, I think is a great tip.
Yeah, I mean, most people forget about optimizing for search, optimizing for social, make it retweetable, make it, something that people are looking for.
Repackaged,
and find the trends that are out there, which also reminds me back to Ariana, since we're all talking about her.
Right.
She did the best job ever of curating content, right? She didn't write it all.
Right.
She just wrote abstracts against it. She doesn't need to be necessarily originator. She just needs to have an opinion about what's out there. And I think a lot of people miss that there already are the experts out there,
Right.
And we do a lot of this ourselves. Why not leverage what they're doing, help them raise the bar a little bit, and everybody benefits instead of having to have the 100 monkeys cranking out 100 articles, 100 times a day to be able to go out to the experts that are already generating some buzz and doing good stuff and finding that as well.
Right. Okay. The goal of marketing is really to create an interactive conversation. And you can do that best by doing exactly what you said, facilitating it.
Yeah, facilitating it, right, to be a facilitator for your particular niche. And I've heard a lot of other good things. One thing that popped up and I'd love to get your opinion on is just getting more targeted on the way you do things. I think a lot of people are trying to serve a very big audience, and they're usually really good at 1 or 2 things or have a lot of internal passion within their company for that. Do you guys feel like getting more focused is important, or to stay broad is really kind of the way to go depending on the organization?
The whole idea really is that eventually you want to drive towards one-to-one conversation, and you start with this big mass marketing, you start bringing it down, and ultimately you have the power to do one-to-one messaging, but really you're facilitating it.
Yeah.
And yes, personalization does work.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on personalization when it comes to being able to do this? Is one-to-one actually a reality? Because we talk a lot about it, but I don't know if we can actually get one-to-one level. Have you seen it?
Well,
What do you mean exactly when you say one-to-one?
So one-to-one
know.
marketing, the goal is to actually have a personalized message to that individual
Right.
anytime you send them a message. So you have enough data on them to be able to customize that message to them. So you're marketing literally one-to-one, and you know what that interaction is.
Right.
Are we even close to getting to that on the social
Well, I
media
think
front?
on the big brand front, definitely, because they have the time and the money, right?
Right.
And so then when you think about like the small to medium-sized businesses, they're still just trying to figure out social media 2.0. You know, how to get a little bit more personalized, a little bit more, you know, in the niche, you know, more one-to-one. But I think we're a little bit off that because they're just now trying to understand it, and not necessarily understand it, but just to do it better.
Gotcha.
You know,
Yeah.
so that
I think
becomes,
it determines the size of your audience too, because if you're, you know, if you're talking to 50 people and you
Totally.
know who those 50 people are, and you're able to target that these are the 50 influencers that can influence, if they each can influence 1,000 people, then that's, you know, that's your market, and that works for you possibly. So I think it so much depends on who your audience is and if you're able to segment it. But I mean, Infusionsoft is a great software that does allow you to do that one-to-one marketing and really. Are you guys familiar with Infusionsoft? Yeah, you can really target. If they've clicked open this email, then you know how to target them, how to market to them, and what to say, them versus the other person that hasn't opened the email yet or hasn't purchased from you yet. So I think that's a really good tool to be able to do that if you have the budget and the time to learn it, because it's a pretty tough software.
Gotcha. So I got one last question for you guys. We're about out of time. So we've got your opinions on social. Give me one thing that I wouldn't know about you after being your friend on Facebook, something that's interesting, that you're passionate about, that gets an indicator of who you are as an individual, that our audience can
That's
get a
not
better
on
feel.
Facebook?
That's not on Facebook right now.
I'll tell you something.
Everything's on
Everything,
Facebook.
I put everything on Facebook, both business and personal.
Well, we know you recently got engaged, right? So congratulations
Thank
on
you.
that. So that's cool. We know you have kids and a family and work too much and all of those great things. And
I'm also training for a marathon.
Training for a marathon, but that's all on Facebook. What's not on Facebook? What are you guys hiding from us? That's what we really want to know, is actually the truth.
Man.
So actually, the
So-
fun thing that I have that's not on Facebook is what I do is, my title is Email Yogi.
Yeah.
Most people don't know. I actually do a whole bunch of yoga, and sometimes when I run these workshops, I end up doing, here's 11 power stretches in 7 minutes.
Show us one power stretch.
Oh my
The
gosh. Tell us
Literally
that
the
you're-
best power stretch you can do, and it's
Are you
the
gonna do
equivalent
it?
of a caffeine, is when you put your hands up. Stretch your hands up this way, not this way, with your hands out. And what you're going to
Hold it.
notice, do it
With my hands out.
with your
No.
hands the
Other
other
way.
way.
Right. Yep.
Right there. Pull it up, and you feel a little pop. And what that does is that releases
pop.
endorphins right here.
In the stress.
That is power. That's the equivalent to me of drinking a cup of Java every hour. So I have less coffee.
So
I
when I
have
see you
tea.
walking around the conference like this, it's not because you're trying to like make any cheer for somebody. Give me an O. You're trying to
Yeah.
stretch.
But
Sandeep,
it does.
I love that.
That's good. That's
That's
good.
awesome.
That's great. So Facebook, what's not there? You guys can share. Some
man.
party in high
on
school, some
Facebook.
story you've never shared.
I think Amber said it this morning, is that there's no line between her personal and her professional life on Facebook.
Right.
And I think you're kind of the same way. I mean, you have a bazillion friends on Facebook, right?
Yeah.
I don't. To me, like, Facebook is like my personal area. It's all my mommy friends. It's my running friends.
Yeah.
I very rarely talk about work. I would never really say like, oh, hey, guess what I'm doing this week in San Diego.
Well, I think you're making a mistake, but anyway.
No, because you know why? Because my mommy friends don't care.
They would care that you're in San Diego.
A lot of it, well, they would, but they wouldn't want to, you know, they're
Know
not going
about
to come
the
to
cool
this.
interview that you're doing right now, or anything
Exactly.
like that. I gotcha.
Yeah, but I guess I'm not quite there yet with blending my personal and my
Yeah. See,
My
I
work.
am with what I do. I have to be on Facebook all the time, but I am sharing that my work stuff with my friends and my colleagues, and I'm sharing my personal life with both also. Aaron wouldn't have known that I was engaged if I wasn't sharing that on Facebook. So, I mean, I've become friends with the people that I work with because we're in such a social industry, and I think it's important to open yourself up like that, and I don't think it's necessary for everyone, but I feel pretty strongly about it. So
Especially when you
there's
got a
really-
rock like that to show off.
Yeah,
You want everybody to know about that. She's tweeting it out. It's great. All right, guys. Well, thanks for joining us. Really appreciate you having with us, and hope to see you back soon.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
very
Thank you.
much.